Hey everybody, Mark Yansich here with Active Duty Passive Income, and this is my first YouTube video in my new studio. I am so excited about this studio. It's awesome. I decided to do a video at my desk instead of at the couch because I want to kind of just off the cuff, no script, just talk to y'all about my first two deals, because I think it's important that everybody knows, everybody that's in real estate, like especially those that you see on social media or in videos like me right now, that sometimes I'm afraid that it seems like something like the goals are something far away and distant and unachievable. And so I want to just tell a quick little story about where I began, how I started real estate, and just give everybody some context and give you some ideas of how you could potentially start in real estate. And so I really hope this video helps. So without further ado, let's kick it. I'm going to go over the first two deals I did. So my very first one was a turnkey rental property. And the second one, shortly after, just a month or two after, was a 56-unit apartment complex. Now, how did I get to that point? I made a lot of mistakes, which is why Active Duty Passive Income exists in the first place. Was me and my team wanted to create a community and an education platform where individuals in the military, primarily military families, could come and learn how to buy more American real estate that creates them generational wealth and monthly income. But I made a lot of mistakes along the way. In fact, two of the properties I almost bought, I was trying to do it sight unseen in a way that was not reputable. And they were trying to sell me something that they said was renovated, but it turns out it wasn't renovated at all. They were wholesaling what's called a Class D property, basically something that is in the bad part of town, let's call it that, without really renovating anything. And they were going to sell it to me, and then I don't know what their end game was. They actually ended up getting in trouble down the road, so I'm not going to name this company. But I almost fell for that. I was very trusting of people in the beginning. It was hard for me to imagine that somebody's going to try to con me into buying something that's not actually a renovated property like they promised it was. But what I started doing is I started learning more, researching more, analyzing properties more, learning how to do all that, trying to make sure I got my numbers right, understood how to do the financing and all this kind of stuff. And I eventually stumbled upon a few people in California. Shout out to Buddy Rushing for helping me connect me to Matt Owens, who was running a turnkey operation at the time. And me and him partnered on a turnkey property that he sold me. And we just went 50-50. And what turnkey means, it means it's literally turnkey. It's ready to go. So he either found that property himself or a wholesaler sold it to him. And then what he did is he renovated it. He did all the hammer swinging. He did all the hard work. And then he sold it to me at a little bit of a premium because he deserves to make money for all of his work because I didn't have to renovate the property. And he already had a property manager in place and he had a tenant ready to go that was already paying me monthly. And so that was a very easy win for me. After spending a whole year and a half of just feeling down and like, gosh, this is like all I wanted was to be able to shout at the top of a mountain that I am a real estate investor and put that in the title of like my LinkedIn, that I'm a real estate investor. It was a cool thing to do. It was an easy win, partnering with somebody that was really good at this, going 50-50 on it. So I only had to come out like $17,000 out of pocket for the down payment. And I started making 16% cash on cash return every single month. When what that means is that if you annualize it, compared to my down payment, I was making 16% of my investment, which was my down payment, every single year. But I was getting those checks every single month. So split up every single month because the renter pays every month, minus my mortgage, minus expenses. And what was left over was what I was getting every single month. And if you look at it over the span of 12 months, a full year, I was getting about 16% of my investment back. That's really good numbers, right? That's really good. Not to mention, because I was depreciating the home, which I talk about in other videos, it was basically tax-free or tax-deferred, really. So that was my first deal. It was a simple turnkey property. I call it simple because I didn't have to necessarily go find the deal, cold call, network with too many other people to help me source this deal. I went to somebody that they did all of that and they had the property ready and packaged up. And I want to just mention right now, Active Duty Passive Income has an incredible relationship with Rent to Retirement. And there's going to be a link in this video below in the description where we have partnered with them, and we work with them, and we're both in your corner to help you get an amazing turnkey property if that's what you want to do, if that's what you want your first or next property to be, is a nice cash flowing turnkey rental. And yes, it is absolutely still possible to cash flow in today's market, and it is possible to get financing on these properties. Actually, there's a really cool product called the DSCR, or Debt Service Coverage Ratio loan. It has a couple of nuances, some stipulations to be able to qualify. But for the most part, the cool thing about it is that as long as the rent can cover its expenses, its mortgage and expenses, then you should be able to qualify. There are a few other nuances, like you can't be a first-time home buyer. Like, this can't be the first property you buy. Like, you have to actually maybe have owned a home previously. Again, I'm not going to go through the whole list, but seriously, hit us up. There's also going to be a link in the bottom if you want to get connected with a lender that can talk you through all that before you go talk to Rent to Retirement, looking at these properties, making sure that you're ready to actually do the deal. And then worst case scenario, if you're not, maybe you can partner with somebody and kind of work it out that way, somebody that maybe already has experience. And that's where my second property comes into play, because I did partner. My second property was a partnership with my parents, partly because they had more experience in the real world. And so with commercial loans, a big 56 unit as it was, you need to have a team. And so me and my mom were the management team. My dad was basically the key principal, the person that came in with all the net worth and liquidity and the money. So there was part of that. But also I partnered with them because I wanted to change their lives. I wanted to show them that, hey, putting money away in 529s, like not the retirement accounts, but basically the IRAs for your student expenses, your educational expenses. For some of my siblings, maybe there's a better way to use that money. Maybe we should pull that out and use it towards a down payment on something that's going to create massive generational wealth and create you more income than you ever imagined. And so I convinced them to do that. And so that's how we funded our first 56 unit apartment complex. We pulled money out of two separate 529 accounts that were meant for my siblings. So talk about a little crazy here, plus a little bit more cash. This was another one of those things where we made a lot of mistakes. We were under contract on one property for like 6 months, but we just kept making mistake after mistake, trusting the wrong people. This is where I just want to mention, these experiences are what really led me to build ADPI. Like, I wanted to make sure that people didn't have to go through all the things I had to go through. I didn't know anybody else in the military that cared about real estate as much as I did. So anyway, finally we ended up finding a property that was kind of almost turnkey as well. It was something that somebody else bought at a discount. They renovated and they actually kind of sold us. We probably paid too much for it, but it's been an amazing investment because over the past 5 years, it's been creating a lot of cash flow, and it's been supplementing my income and my parents' income. It actually ended up making my parents more income every single month than my dad's teaching job. So it really worked out well for all involved. It did take a few years of some hard lessons after we purchased it, like getting used to working with the right managers. We actually had to fire one manager, get another one, but it was all figure outable. It really gave us a lot of confidence after going through some of those difficulties, because now we're investing in more, and we've had a great experience real estate investing in general. So that deal, again, that was a 56 unit apartment complex funded by my parents. I partnered with them as the one that was in charge of the financial management of the deal, structuring the deal, doing the legal side of things, getting it to the closing table essentially. Also, that was an understood launch pad for me to do more deals with them in the future. So they knew that it was also an investment into future capabilities and ability for us to grow our net worth and our monthly income. So those are the first two deals. And I want to mention what ended up happening with those two deals. One was, so that turnkey property, I ended up selling it because it increased in value and I was able to sell it and make money on that. And that money I was then able to use to fund a down payment on another primary residence that I then later made something like $70,000 off of. So it kind of like started snowballing, right? So that was really cool. And typically I don't like selling rental properties, but there comes a point where either you need to play some chess with your personal finances, or it ends up having so much equity or like so much value in it, you're not realizing a return on investment on that equity. Like it could do more, like the amount of value in that property could do more for you if you sold it, captured that money, and repurposed it elsewhere. And so that's what I found myself being in that kind of a position. And this 56 unit, we're actually under contract to sell it now. And we should be selling it in January 2023, which is really, really, really cool because we're going to end up, I think we had to spend just a little bit upwards of $650,000 for it as our down payment. It was a $2.6 million property. And we're going to be walking away with like a $1.7 million check now that we're selling it. So that is life-changing, and it's going to fuel a lot more investments down the road. We're planning on buying another care facility. We own a memory care facility currently, and we're going to be buying an assisted living facility as well. So that's what my parents are getting into now with me. So anyways, just a little bit of a rambling kind of just word vomit of my story, but hopefully is valuable, and it helps those that are just trying to figure out how to get their foot in the door. And I would like to just absolutely mention and invite everybody, if you want to learn more about this stuff, if you want a good team in your corner, activedutypassiveincome.com. We are all about helping military families getting into real estate investing, whether it's financing, having an awesome investment-minded agent in your corner, getting those loans that you need to get, right? Or learning this stuff. That's what this video is about, and that's what our community is about. We have an amazing 62,000 member community at this current point, and it's growing like wildfire. So, joining that community and learning about this stuff with others, it's a lot of fun, and it really gives you more excitement, at least in my experience and the experience of thousands of our other members. So, that's my call to action to you. Like, if you're watching this, you're like, hey, I want to learn more about this, hit us up. Go to activedutypassiveincome.com. But that's about it. Thank you so much. Bye.